In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we start supercharging the Mini. Previously on Mighty Car Mods, Marty rode a bike to England to pick up a supercharger from VMAX SCART that we're going to be installing on our mad classic Mini that we got from Japan. We threw the car on the dyno to get a baseline power figure, which only Marty knows.
Now we go and shoot to it. It's off its base, how sticky it is. Can you believe that? Look at that. Off its base balls.
Back at our shed, we've laid out all of the parts that we think we're going to need, but being a JDM Mini, we're still not exactly sure how compatible everything is going to be. Luckily, we've got some expert help. Dose Vader, who works with Turbo Yoda, has flown down to help us out. He's owned countless Minis and was taught by his father, who was a Mini mechanic. And Minis run in my family too. Yes, that is my mum. After years of owning Japanese turbo cars, it's amazing to be back behind the wheel of a mad old Mini, which was my very first car when I was 15 years old. This one is a BSCC 1.3 litre single-point injected naturally aspirated Mini Cooper that was built specifically for the Japanese domestic market. Well, it was naturally aspirated, but that is all about to change, because in this episode, we're about to start supercharging it.
Alright, now that is going to just get in the way of our heads. So the first thing we're going to do is remove it.
We are. You got any Imperial?
Imperial. Not much. Just that.
Right. Here's
your test, Mini Man. First test of the day. What size are we going to need to remove those on the bonnet?
I would have to say, from memory, 7/16.
Never has it been more important. You're on. You can stay.
I can stay.
A lot of bonnets have varying degrees of adjustability, so make sure you mark it so that when you go to put it back on after your mods, it's much easier to align it and get it to fit properly.
Look how cute it is. See what that is? Look at this awesomeness, man. This here. That's the user's manual, service history. I mean, that's what they have to put these in for Australian compliance. That's just the law. They've got to do like a translation of it. I love the little pictures and stuff they do in Japan as well. Like they just do, you've got all your technical diagrams, but then, like, look at these. This guy's just...
What's he doing?
He's
wow, dude, look what's happening.
Letting off some steam from downstairs.
We're disconnecting the battery and then it's time to get stuck into the engine bay.
Right, well first of all we need to do the mechanicals of everything, so we need to take all the original fuel injection inlet manifold off, get that all out of the way so we can have a clear look at where we've got to fit things. Obviously the factory engine management is going to be gone as well, so we have to remove all of that. So basically get as much stuff off the engine as we possibly can so we get a clear view at everything we need to do. Then we can start trial fitting things and just seeing where everything's going to live.
We're going to start pulling off all the parts that we're not going to need anymore, like this massive air filter assembly, because we're going to be replacing that later with a different filter on the new throttle body that's going into the supercharger. We also need to remove the factory radiator, which means we need to drop the coolant. So we're jacking up the car, putting it on jack stands, and then one person's going to be accessing the bottom radiator hose from inside the front wheel arch, while a second person with a really long screwdriver undoes the hose from above.
Got some of it.
I've been running genuine Toyota coolant in the Mini, and yes, it is meant to be red.
How is it coming out from over there? So what we're doing is basically getting rid of everything that is either in the way or may be in the way, And once we've got a blank canvas, then we can kind of dummy fit up, see where the supercharger is going to fit. We might need different hoses, reroute things. We're not sure yet, so we're just going to have to pull everything off and see what happens.
I know what happens when you pull everything off.
How is Cheryl Martin? Is she out of geriatric care yet?
She's great, man.
Is she?
Yeah.
I've never dated an older woman, but I rate you for it, man. It's cool.
She's such a nice lady, hey?
She is.
Yep. She can make a mean chamomile tea.
Can she?
Speaking of minis, which is very English, English people like tea. Did you know that?
Why do they like tea, Martin?
I don't know. I just think they like drinking hot water.
Tea's not big here at all.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it?
Oh, I think it's a generational thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anyone under the age of 80 that drinks it.
Oh, these weird mini clips.
You need small hands to work in this engine bay, man.
Yeah.
Or very fine motor skills.
Patience.
Get it? Motor. Patience.
Oh, Martin.
Patience.
Motor skills. Do you like that?
Oh.
How will you find motor skills?
How did
That
that go?
sucks.
Oh.
It's gonna hurt so much.
Well, that's the best thing, isn't it? Since corn chips.
I got them somewhere recently.
King's Cross?
No, somewhere
Place
else.
downstairs where those dudes were dancing?
I got them from somewhere. Somewhere really weird that we went. You remember?
Hawaii?
No.
Abu Dhabi?
Possibly, but somewhere like that. Somewhere like out of the ordinary.
They're awesome anyway though, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's rad.
They literally mean it when they say blood, sweat and tears, don't they? Like you sweat in there and then you get sad and cry when something breaks.
Oh. And then you bleed everywhere.
Oh, those things are the worst.
The radiator doesn't bolt to the car. The radiator bolts to the shroud, and the shroud bolts to the engine. So you have to remove the bolts that hold the shroud,
Yep.
and then the shroud comes off the radiator, and then the radiator can come out the top, because
And-
you can't get the fan off until the radiator's out.
Right, and I'm assuming all these hoses that are down here in this place that are impossible to get to unless your fingers are made out of spaghetti also have to come off first.
Yes, they do.
Good times. Love minis. You should get one of these if you don't have one yet. It does look like something that H.R. Geiger would have designed. That's the dude that designed the Alien from the original Alien movie. But this is a mad kind of, I don't know, it looks like a mating octopus. But it's also a mad pickup tool, which is what you need when you drop your spanner down into the guts of a Mini. So, which is like so deep in there, it's not funny, Martin, but I'm going in deep. And if I can grab it, this is going to feel like I've achieved something amazing today. No, I'm actually just going to push it out.
I bought my first Mini Cooper when I was 7. It was a friend of my father's who had come to visit us, and it blew a head gasket when he was driving home.
Yeah.
And he left it on the side of the road. It sat there for about a week. My dad rang him, offered him some money for it, took money out of my trust account and bought it for me.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I got to learn how to drive a Mini when I was 7.
That's awesome. You pipped me, man. I got mine when I was 15 years old. So I learned how to just do basic stuff on it and stereo and all that kind of stuff. But you were there 7 years before me, so I got chopped hard.
I mainly knew how to thrash it around in a grass paddock.
That's how you start, isn't it?
Yep.
That's all you need to know how to do to begin with.
Drive it to the bus stop so all the other kids thought I was cool.
That's awesome. And your dad was a Mini mechanic as well, wasn't he? He
Yeah.
raced them. I've
Yeah.
seen the photos of his car like airborne, like
Yeah.
a Mini 4 wheels off the ground. Takes some guts, man. That's pretty epic.
He did his apprenticeship for BMC
Yep.
back in the day. And he owned many Minis around that time, and he did Motorcana and Rally and all sorts of weird and wonderful things.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was good. Before I was born, but he was still well and truly into his Minis.
Yep.
And I think the only time in my whole life I've ever been truly scared in a motor car, when I was about 19 years old,
Yep.
and my dad took me for a drive in my cousin's GT Clubman,
Yep.
which was a little bit souped up, and scared the crap out of me.
Really?
Yeah. Only time I've been truly scared in a motor car.
In a Mini?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. It's so good. You ever slept in a Mini
I have, many times.
Yep.
It's not very comfortable.
with another person?
No,
No?
that's not possible.
Oh, it is.
Not for me.
Okay. You've just got to put the windows down and the seats back.
Fair enough.
There's kind of a leg out each window kind of a thing going on. Or, I mean, not one person's leg out each window, but each person has their legs out the window. Hi, Mum. Yes.
Be gone.
That's awesome.
So here we have the original inlet manifold. Now this might look a bit different to what you traditionally find on the older Minis, which would have carburetors. You can put twin carbs, do all those kind of old school things. But this is what I like to call, and a lot of people call, toilet bowl injection. So because
poo-coloured stuff is dripping out of it?
well, yeah, you could be right. Basically, that's one giant injector that sprays fuel onto the throttle body, and then you've got your cable linkage there, and it opens and shuts. Which is basically just one injector. Now most cars these days have what they call multi-point injector. In the 80s and 90s they like to write that along the back of the car, especially on Mitsubishis. But that is again slightly different to what we're doing here with our awesome big supercharger. So you can kind of see there how it matches up. We've still just got the 2 ports, it's all still going in through those 2 places. But instead of having one big dirty injector on the top of it and no forced induction, this is pressurizing the air, and on the inlet we have
A multi-point.
exactly 2
So
injectors.
there's our throttle body, 2 injectors.
Yep.
Into supercharger.
Yep.
Boost.
Now, might not look that a kind of traditional way to do supercharging, like by blowing the fuel through the supercharger, but there's a lot of packaging concerns with this car to try and get that amount of equipment in that little engine base. So that's what it's going to look like.
I'm just doing some work to a Rover Mini, just with an old 5-port head on it. I just wanted to get some extractors for it. Just wondering whether you got any in stock.
We don't do the Rover Minis. We only do the older Cooper S's, the old
It's still an A series motor. It's like the
still an A series?
yeah, it's the
Let me have a look for you.
Yep.
You want a set of extractors?
yeah, just some like 2-piece ones would be good, like the 3-into-1s.
Okay, let me have a quick look for you.
Cheers.
You were right about it being an old bloke. It's funny, isn't it? Because like those cars were awesome when they were young, or our age or younger, so they stay with it.
It'll be one day, you and I'll have some website called Mad Sylvia's, and all the young kids will laugh at us.
It's a 1275.
It is 1275.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check it.
If you're concerned about the inlet manifold fouling with it, don't worry, because the inlet manifold's coming off for a custom manifold to go back on for a
Okay.
for a supercharger.
Alright, good. That helps me.
So
Alright,
it should be fine, because nothing will step down below the line of the ports.
Okay, excellent. Won't be a second then.
So
What a boss. Yeah. All over it. 5 ports. They've got sweet corn.
Never seen them before.
You want to try one?
Love to.
Oh, they're balls.
Are they?
Corn balls.
Oh, I love sweet, sweet balls, Mum.
Yep.
I love corn.
Oh, not sure. I can't tell if it's a sweet or a savoury.
Both. Very Japanese tasting. I like it.
Not so sure.
Mandrel Bend. That's $180.
So the whole inlet manifold and throttle body is gone, and it is not coming back because we are replacing it.
one thing to notice on this is obviously this is not a crossflow cylinder head. Most modern cars these days for quite some time have been a crossflow head, where you'll have the exhaust on one side of the cylinder head and the inlet manifold on the other, just for better efficiency.
Yeah.
These being fairly old, this is still an old A series motor, even though it is fairly modern. It still runs the same 5-port cylinder head. So we've got 2 inlet ports to share 4 cylinders, and we've got 3 exhaust ports to share the 4 cylinders. So when we put this new one on, it's obviously only going to go in the middle here, just the same as what the other one did.
Yep. And speaking of exhaust, we thought that while we're down at this stage, we may as well put on some extractors as well. So luckily we found some that are in Sydney. Overnight parts from
Overnight
Japan,
parts,
they say, but it's overnight parts from Sydney, and they're due here tomorrow morning. They were surprisingly cheap. It was like $180 or something
Yeah,
for
very cheap.
extractors,
Yep.
which is awesome. So we're going to fit them up. Hopefully they work. So next up, we're going to take the radiator out, and then we can actually just start test fitting up the supercharger and seeing where it's going to sit and what else may potentially have to be removed. Oh man, this is awesome, isn't it? It's going to save my hands. Down there in the engine bay is just all this really sharp stuff. It's like the engine bay is just full of razor blades, just to teach you a lesson. It's really, really cramped, really small, everything's sharp. It's like the Australian desert in there, everything's trying to kill you. It's not mad and easy to work on, but it's going to be mad and choo-chooey. Sorry?
Those are awesome though.
Dude, this is good. Like we say, ratcheting's manners. They're about to change my life. Seriously. I'm going so deep.
You're going to go deep to pull the big thing out?
Dude, I'm so deep in there. My hand, I've got my whole hand in there, every single finger, and the only thing stopping me going further is my wrist. Otherwise I would go further, but I can't. And it's so tight in there as well. I don't know how people do this.
Practice.
Oh, I can get 2 clicks of my ratcheting spanner. Listen to this each time. Can you listen? 1 click, 2 click. That's how long we're going to be here, everyone. A trick with minis is access points. It's not about what it is you need to do, it's how you do it. Do you know what I mean? And the proof of that, I don't know if you heard before, but when I had this ratcheting spanner, I could get 2 clicks. Now, I'm accessing it from a different side, and have a listen to this. 4. Makes me so happy. It's the simple things, isn't it, Mum? Oh, the pleasure and the pain. There it is. There he is. Look at that. So good when it finally comes out when you've been working on it for so long.
The factory radiator has been released from its metal cage and banished from the engine bay, never to return. It's been a massive day and we've got heaps done, but we've just run into our first major problem.
So we've hit our first snag on our mini adventure, which kind of happens when you're customising stuff.
That's right. Yeah. And being that this is a JDM Mini, it's a slightly different kind of setup than the minis that were in different parts of the world. And so there's kind of a little bit of it's, you know, what they call SPI, some bits of it are MPI. But this pulley kit that we've got here to run the supercharger, because the Japanese minis have air conditioning and they didn't in other countries, then this system, currently we don't have a way of making it work.
So we've got a few options, which is firstly we can either mix and match old mini parts and transport some old parts onto this newer thing, which will then make our pulley system work, or, which is the harder method, is we may have to machine another one of these up.
Yeah, so that's what we've got to try and work out, but it's the end of the day now, so everyone's closed. So that is day one of how to supercharge your car. We have some things to work out because nothing's choo-chooing yet, but it is going to be mad.
Bolt on.
Yes.
What I've learned over the years is that nothing's bolt on, but what I've also learned is this stuff's really fun.
Yeah.
You have to get creative with it now. Like, it's not, oh, it's done, I can't go and eat some burgers.
You got to get resourceful. And I mean, somebody somewhere has made this. We just got to make one that fits with what we're doing. So there it is. Keep your eyeballs on our Faceballs. That is facebook.com/Mighty Car Mods. And of course, next time you see us, there's going to be mad and more mad supercharging. It's going to be epic. Thanks, Miles.
No worries, mate.
All right, see you next time. I wanna taste your sweet salty balls.